Good evening, everyone. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023 as amended on March 28, 2025. This meeting will be conducted in person and as a courtesy via remote means in accordance with applicable law. Please note that while an option for remote attendance and/or participation is being provided, the meeting/hearing will not be suspended or terminated if there are tech problems unless required by law. Viewers can visit the local scene.media/Duxbury, formerly pac-tv, to watch a video replay of this meeting on Duxbury YouTube. Good evening. Okay, we do have some minutes, but we're going to, out of respect for the folks that will be presenting, we're gonna do those at the end, if everybody's okay with that. And I don't think there's any announcements. Anybody have anything that share with the team? Okay, perfect. Then, Ms. Kelly.
Thank you so much.
No worries.
Tara Wakefield, Assistant Town Clerk. I'm sure you've all been in the office and seen her. I don't have any handouts or PowerPoint to show, but I did upload all of that onto ClearGov. So if you have a few minutes and feel like taking a look, everything that I'm talking about is up there. I did put up a PowerPoint that talked about what our office does on a routine basis. It also has a 5-year look back on the budgets so that you can see the cyclical nature of my requests every other year. As we know, is the state election year, so fiscal 27 is one of those. We have state primary and the midterm elections in fall of 26. I also uploaded our key performance indicators, which was a really fascinating exercise for even me to do. I know we're busy, but if you take a look at it and see that we posted almost 800 meetings to the town calendar in fiscal 25. I mean, you get to the nitty-gritty of what we do on a daily basis. And lastly, I also uploaded a spreadsheet of the intermittent seasonal payroll. And that will detail for you how I arrive at the figure that I arrived at that's in my fiscal 27 budget, which is a very large increase from last year due to the state elections. So what I'd like to do, instead of going line by line, most of my budget is very routine. I do not have a 5B. So this is the only budget that I'm presenting.
Is that because there's no real new asks?
No.
Okay.
I have no asks for our office, and the only increases really are due to the election.
Okay.
So I can't change those. So what I'd like to do is touch on the items that have the largest swings either way. And if you have any other questions along the way, I'm happy to have you stop me and let me know.
All right.
So I'm going to start with the intermittent seasonal salaries, based on, as I said, a town election, town meeting, state primary, and state election. I forecasted the intermittent seasonal payroll to be $47,000, and that includes early voting for both of the state elections, a week for the primary and 2 weeks for the midterm election. And what I'm going to do is offset that $47,000 estimate by $5,000 from our early voting state grants and include only a $42,000 ask in this year's budget. So that difference, 75%, the $18,000 is due to those two elections.
Is that grant part of the debate they're having with Healy and you know, who's in, who's out, or is that mostly insurance issues?
No, that's not what this is
Okay.
the early voting.
So they can't touch it.
Correct.
Okay. That's all.
The next line is, it says town clerk overtime. It's supposed to be assistant town clerk overtime. I don't get overtime pay. This is for the work that Tara does outside of her scheduled hours. And my anticipated overtime cost for fiscal 27 was $8,000, and that I am paying completely this year out of the early voting state grants. So I won't be asking for overtime for her for this year. Down to the public safety detail, which you may or may not have it listed as police detail. I think Mary changed that to reflect public safety. That has a $12,600 increase, and that is due to, additional police required for the elections. And also the addition this fiscal, year for committed fire details at town meeting. Because we've had larger attendance recently with special interest articles. The chief has requested that we have 3 firefighter EMTs dedicated to the crowd if there were any issues.
Really? Okay.
So that is an
Like a
expense
medical emergency,
in medical emergencies.
but you've got 900 people in there.
Correct. So that is not something that I had to budget for. Prior to this, I did have a cost in fiscal 26, but I was able to cover that. So that is something new. And it will be going forward for town meetings.
So 1 ambulance and 3 people manning. Okay.
And that's in addition to the people in attendance who are just basically there, you know, who would also support, but are basically there for the meeting. Office equipment maintenance had a large increase, $2,700 increase. And that is because IT has been paying a maintenance agreement for election equipment. Because it was a software management agreement, maintenance agreement. And I have agreed to take that back because it's a department-specific maintenance agreement for the poll pads that we use for our electronic voting list.
Okay.
So that's coming back to me,
That's okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
because I'm trading them some.
Is somebody not muted? Oh, Teddy. Okay.
Bookbinding archives, has a large increase, and that is due to a cost, the annual cost for King Information Systems, which is the company that manages the archive room in the basement. And that is all of the files for the departments in the building. It's not just my files, but it's all the files in the building. And King Information comes in annually to review what's down there and pull out what we can have destroyed. And this $2,000 will pay for that service as well as the shredding of the documents that we can destroy. This is something new for the town clerk's office. I think previously it was in the budget for DPW building maintenance maybe. And we felt it was better suited to be included in the town clerk's budget.
And how's it going down there? I mean, it was such a,
Mess.
I would say insurmountable project.
Yes. No, it's very well organized. And we have a database that currently Nancy O'Connor is in charge of, but we will be taking that over as well.
Mhm.
So everything down there is entered into the database with the box number, and if someone needs something,
You can find
you
it.
can find it.
Great.
And
Excellent.
nothing goes down there without a shred date, destroy date, so it's working out really well. Moving down to computer software service, $900 increase, 31%. And that is a new increase for fiscal 27. It will be something going forward. LHS, which is the company who services our ballot tabulators and the poll pads, the iPads for the electronic voting list. They are implementing a service fee to program the poll pads of $300 per election. And
Does everybody know what those pads are?
I don't, is it
No?
What?
What are?
So instead of a paper list where we would have your name printed up, we have a poll pad at the elections where you and the entire voter list is housed on that poll pad so that when you check in, we mark you off that you voted, and that is shared among the poll pads in the building, so you can never come in again the second time. during the day. Has all the information that we can verify your identity, birth date and address, so forth. So LHS has up until this period been creating the elections within the poll pad system, and there's a lot of backroom updating that they have to do every single day leading up to the election based on early voting. So they're touching everybody's, they're touching our poll pads remotely to update those. And I don't blame them for wanting to have a management fee to do that because it is a lot of work on their end. So going forward, we will be paying $300 per election. And I will build that in under software service. Postage up 71%, $7,300. This is due to the anticipated vote by mail. We based that figure on the number of ballots for the previous state elections as well as the town election. Our town election this year, for example, there were 4,300 voters, I believe, and 48% of people voted by mail.
Wow.
Yeah, so with the increase in postage from a first class letter, $74 or 74 cents rather, up from 69, a ballot now goes from 97 cents to $1.03 mail out.
Just a point, nothing really drilling into your numbers. The elections, you mentioned, how many do we have this year?
For fiscal 27,
Right,
we'll have town election, town meeting, state primary, and state midterm election.
okay, 3 elections and
And
a
town
town
meeting.
meeting. Okay.
Yeah.
The one that's coming up next in 2 weeks, November 3rd, when,
That's
That's
for
a state?
cities. That's a city election. In Massachusetts,
nothing
they're
here, is there?
not here. There's 51 cities, mostly cities and a couple of towns that have a municipal
Our polls
election.
won't be open.
Correct.
Thank you.
No elections here.
Sue,
Yes.
Oh, Jesus.
hi, how are you? Did I come on like an enormous head and very loud?
Sorry,
Uh,
Mike.
Sorry about that, I'll be quiet. Sue, with the mail-in voting, is that done every year? So, and do we just keep a historic list and send out the ballots every year to everybody that signed
So
up?
the applications are annual. What will happen, what we did last year, because we had no state election, is we included an application with the census that went out and encouraged people to use that if they wanted to vote for in the municipal election. Because the state elections are next fall, we will again this year include a vote by mail application in the census in January for anyone who wishes to vote by mail for the town election. And then the state will most likely send out postcards to everyone in July for the fall elections.
Got it?
Yes, I'm always curious why we do it for a town election. I can see for a general, but it's my own pet peeve. So,
We do it that way because I want to continue to give people as many opportunities to vote. And I figure if we have 48% of at our last town election voting by mail, it's something they've gotten used to.
There you go.
all right, thanks, Sue.
You're welcome. Subscriptions and publications. I'm down $4,500. Very excited about this. As I'm taking the maintenance agreement from IT, I'm giving them the subscription
Yeah.
cost per Zoom. So I made it better in that deal because theirs cost us more money, but so they will be paying for that going forward.
There you go.
And lastly, a small decreased dues and memberships. I just dropped one of the organizations that we belong to. So we
Because they were of no value to you, or,
they're no longer a value to us.
okay,
Yeah, so I kept the state, our tri-county and the New England groups because those are valuable.
well, I know that you've gotten a lot of free classes over time for
Yes.
both you and Tara, so I.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay,
And I really considered cutting some of the education, but
Oh.
Given the election climate, I really don't feel comfortable doing that because
No.
things change all the time.
Does anybody have any questions for these folks, these fine folks?
Oh, very straightforward.
It is pretty straightforward. It's not fancy, but it's important,
It is important, not fancy. So,
not
yeah. But
fancy.
I do encourage you to take a look at, what we have posted for.
So where did you post that on ClearGov?
It's on ClearGov. Yeah, I know, if you can't sleep one night.
Print it out and bring it with you?
How about if I email it to you?
Excellent
Do
idea.
not
I
make,
won't send it to you, but I'll, it's just things that if you don't know what we do, which most people don't.
I'd like to read.
I know.
For example, voter registrations, we have to review voter registrations. Everything that goes through the RMV and whatever people apply for online.
Mhm.
So in fiscal 25, we reviewed 4,600 voter registrations,
Wow,
which is a lot.
yeah, no kidding.
So every time you go renew your license, change the registration on your car, we receive something from the RMV that we have to look at. Determine if it's a duplicate, if there are changes. New addition or deletion in the process.
Is that information shared with the treasurer collector? Or the assessor as far as,
They would get the tax for the excise tax, they would get that information. Because it's a separate voter.
they, yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me, Jason, are we all set?
The total amount of that 5A budget?
Total amount is 283,101. And that'll be for 5 as well, because I have enough 5.
Right. So. Cool. All right. Tara, anything you'd like to add?
No. She's here for the experience.
She just wants to get out of here.
No, she's a good sport about doing this stuff.
Thank you both very much.
All
If you have
right,
any questions, please let me know.
we know where you live.
You know where I live.
Where to
No
find you.
offense to my coworkers here, but.
And they're gonna piece out that stuff.
Thank you.
All right, great. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
All right.
I like it when they don't take their coat off, they kind of sing.
Yeah.
Sends a message,
The
sends a
next day
message that
more,
we are not upset about receiving. Good job. All right, Nance, where are you?
Right here.
All right.
Conservation is next. I'm Nancy Russo, Conservation Administrator. I have with me a couple of commissioners, Mickey McGonigal and Holly Morris, who's also the chair of the CPC. I have staff with me, like Cordelia, who's also the president. I also uploaded to ClearGov a PowerPoint and a spreadsheet, but I can share my screen too.
We all set with that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Please.
So stand by. Okay, so, there we go, okay. So, I think these first couple of slides are probably familiar to most of you, who we are, what we do. So the Conservation Commission is responsible for administering the State Wetland Protection Act as well as the Duxbury Wetlands Protection Bylaw. We protect the town's natural resources in a regulatory and advisory manner. Purchase and manage open space as outlined in the 2017 Open Space and Rec Plan, and we also advise other boards on environmental concerns. And here are some of the things that we do in the office and out of the office. We review all permits that come in. We administer, as I said, the bylaw and the local, the state regulations. We acquire open space. We manage over 3,400 acres, which includes 672 acres of town owned plus 200 of semi public open space.
Could you define that, Nancy?
So that's things like, so the Conservation Commission does own, property and it's under the care and the care of the Conservation Commission, but then there are other parcels that might be under, say, Duxbury Rural and Historical Society, Mass Audubon, North Hill is a good example. There's a lot of trails in the North Hill system, but conservation actually owns very little of that trail system.
So I'm just confused by semi-public.
Some of it's not open. So for example, North Hill, the entire North Hill area doesn't have trails. It's not conducive to them, but a lot of it does have trails.
So is it posted no trespassing?
No, we just don't have blazed trails.
Okay.
Just forestry.
Correct, yeah. But then we maintain over 50 miles of mapped and marked walking trails, which that's what Michael has been working on for the past 18 months or so. We have our Jaycox Tree Farm, which I did want to do a little plug for our sale. 2025 sale is December 6th and 7th. Mark your calendars, weather permitting, although we are out there in the elements if need be. We also have the hay fields totaling 60 acres and 180 acres of farmed cranberry bogs. We already have farm agreements for those with growers. And then we provide support to the CPC, Community Preservation Committee.
Do we sell the hay? Or we just use it?
Both. We do a little bit of both.
On the cranberry box, how's the business of cranberry these days?
So not as good as it was originally when the town started with the bogs. There was a trend around COVID where ocean spray cranberry juice was involved in a TikTok trend. So the prices did skyrocket during COVID, and there was actually kind of a backlog of berries, and that all went away. They used all the berries, but we're not making any money on the box. It's really a way that we're encouraging agriculture and farming in town. It's not a money maker.
We're losing money on the box.
We're not losing money either.
There you go.
Great. Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah. These are some of our current projects, and one that I forgot to add is this year we are revising the open space and rec plan. It was a very big miss on my part how to include that because we meet I feel like at least once or twice a month. Polly is also on the task force that's doing that. But we have the Del Lorenzo farm where we are actively bringing that property back into agriculture. It used to be a turkey farm. We have a new tree clearing policy where we're trying to make it easier on the residents to remove trees that might be posing a danger to either their home or a lot of people have young kids that they want them in their backyard and they're afraid of some of the trees that are out there. We manage the hunting on conservation land. We're restoring the fish run, the herring run on 3A by Draco. We do pond maintenance, the walking trail guide. Every June, we work with Mass Audubon and we band baby osprey. We're working on removing a dam on Temple Street. We have been this year working with the Duxbury Bay Water Quality Commission, and we're the host for that website, and just trying to manage the increased trail use. And of course, last but not least, is our weed harvester, which Mickey graciously volunteers his time to run on Highland Creek Pond.
He loves it,
Loves it.
loves it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's essentially, it's almost like a lawnmower.
Oh, there you go.
For the
That's
plants.
nice,
Yeah.
Yeah, always has been excited about that. Yeah.
So this is kind of a summary, like as Susan didn't go line by line, I'm happy to go line by line.
No,
but-
no,
okay.
please don't.
So this is kind of like the highlights. My 5A and 5B are also the same. I'm not asking for anything additional in 5B. One thing that in years past, we have always mentioned, and I do just want to mention it this year again, although I'm not asking for it to be included in 5B, is upgrading the conservation administrative assistant position to a conservation specialist. It's not adding body, it's the same number of staff. It would just be modernizing and having the position be more reflective of what's actually done in the office. That job title was added during the job classification study in 2024. But given the current financial climate, I'm not comfortable asking for this change this year. But I did want to include it in the presentation just so that it's still on the radar.
So you're looking to change the job responsibilities for this position?
Correct.
And I'm assuming that that would then be a different category on the, what does it change?
Oh, I didn't even answer that. I
I
can't
am
remember now.
predictable.
Right now it's a 4. It might have gone to a 6.
So it was a significant change, it was a couple of grades,
Yes, it was a couple of grades for sure.
but you're not asking for that.
Not this year, no, but it is something we would like to do eventually. I'm in a group with other South Shore conservation administrators. And most of the towns function with an administrator and then an assistant administrator or an agent, or they have different terms for it.
Mhm.
But it would basically be another person that would go out into the field, and right now, the way this job is structured, it's really purely administrative. Answering the phone, being at the window, if residents come with questions, posting agendas, doing minutes, like all of that, but starting with when I was in that job, and then Debbie Ballum was after me, and now Allison Shane, we were all capable of so much more, and we did more almost voluntarily. But I think the office would function better, and it would be we would be able to provide better service if we upgraded that position to the conservation specialist. So say if I wasn't there and there was something that needed to be looked at in the field, Allison could, or whoever is in that position could go into the field. That's really not part of that job description right now,
Okay,
but not asking for that this year. The next one that I am asking for this year is an increase in my vehicle stipend. Right now I get $3,600. I am responsible for managing, as I said previously, 3,400 acres over 50 miles of trails. We do have a conservation pickup truck, but Michael uses that exclusively. So anytime I go in the field, I'm using my personal vehicle. It's for everything from site visits to violations to sometimes I'm meeting Michael on the trail and I'm taking my personal vehicle. So I am asking for an increase to offset the associated costs with that, with the wear and tear and the increased job responsibilities. With adding acreage and conservation restrictions, and we seem to be having more violations as well. And then for expenses, when I get to the spreadsheet, my expenses are a little bit all over the place because one line might have like a 50% increase and another line might have a 75% decrease. So what I was doing there was really thoughtfully trying to put the money in the right buckets. So the bottom line is my expenses increased 2.48%, so it totals $384. So when I get to the spreadsheet, some lines may look like, oh, that's a lot, but the bottom line isn't.
so you trued up in
Correct.
certain
And
areas.
I'm really trying to be good about,
By the way, there's a name for that. That's called percentage changes, the tyranny of small numbers.
right?
You get huge percentage changes with a small number base. And you notice them more, so.
Right, yeah.
A $6
What was it?
increase to $10
Tyranny of small
for $4 is a 66%.
There you go.
Oh, it
A
really-
deal breaker.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to see this, and if not, I can actually share the actual spreadsheet. It didn't translate that well into the PowerPoint. So I can zoom a little bit better on this part. So like I said, I'm happy to go through line by line.
No, just the high points.
So
I mean, unless anybody else wants line by line, anybody?
Yeah.
Oh, okay,
so here's more of the justification for the stipend increase. Like I said, almost a third of the town is under our responsibility. A lot of it's off-roading. It's not just driving around town on the streets. And it's to account for general wear and tear, fuel maintenance. I did put in there, the previous administrator, Joe Brady, he was getting $4,080 annually. And since he left, we have added, almost 100 acres, for conservation restrictions. So there is an increased responsibility from when Joe was here. And then, but like I said, so my expenses, like you can see, things are going up and down, but it was really just me trying to put things in the right bucket. And I'm happy to talk about any of these that you would like me to.
does anybody have any questions on any of these changes?
I did meet with Nancy and Mickey, go over the budget, and the budget is virtually the same by $2,000, it's 1.3%.
Yeah.
There's nothing that jumps off the page, the highlights were 1, nothing in B. So there's nothing that goes into that category. Then we did talk a bit about wanting to change that position. And again, she's not asking for it, so there isn't any point to really going into it any great detail. Hopefully down the road that can come up for consideration at a later time. But other than that, it's a pretty big responsibility. Town's put a lot of effort and resources into conservation, into land acquisition. And we have a responsibility once we have the stewardship of maintaining it, and it costs money to do that. We didn't touch too much on the conservation fund, which is available to purchase more land. How are we doing in that fund? And do we have any resources for any potential acquisitions? And we didn't talk about that. Do we have anything coming down the road that you'd like to acquire?
We do not at the moment, but you're correct. That is one of the purposes for the conservation fund. We also use it for special projects that might not be able to be funded through my operating budget. So oftentimes we need large amounts of gravel to do parking lots. We did a project last year where all of the signs for all of the conservation areas were replaced. So it was wooden signs, it was treating them, having them engraved. That was a big project. Fixing bridges, boardwalks that might go beyond what we're capable of funding in our operating expenses. Obviously, I try to do that first, but if it looks like it's just something that's kind of a one-off bigger expense, we'll use the conservation fund.
What is in there this time?
It's oh geez, I was gonna say, I think it's 128.
Mickey knows.
120,000.
The shed.
Yeah, it says it's 128.
I think. yeah.
128, okay, thank you.
Bala, think we would add something?
Oh,
Yes, I was just gonna add, just so that people don't get confused, the fund is used for small purchases of land.
Right.
Slivers.
Major purchases, obviously,
Go to town meeting,
go to town.
understood.
I have a question on, getting back to the cranberry bogs a little bit.
Yeah.
Did, since it's changed, have you abandoned any properties or, stopped maintaining them? Or one in particular, does the town own the property on West Street? Just before that bog, just before you get to the, rotary?
Oh, Kroll, so if you're heading towards the road.
Yeah, on the left hand side.
So yes, that's the Kroll conservation area. We do own that. I do remember when I moved here 20 years ago, that used to be harvested. It was
Right, yeah.
beautiful. You would come off that rotary and like approaching town and it would be stunning.
Yeah.
But so this was
The
before.
federal government paid us
That's right.
to let it go, to let it go.
Oh, really?
They were paid the guy that owned it.
Yeah,
And then he gave it to, and then we bought what was left.
right.
It was Watershed Protection Act or water, something like that, but basically the federal government, in their infinite wisdom, paid this man to stop farming his land.
Yeah.
And then we at a
Oh, we own
reduced
it.
price,
We own it now.
this was before we owned it,
Okay.
so once it was like on the deed.
Yeah.
He sold it to us at a
Yeah,
reduced
that
price.
pains me when I drive by.
I know.
I know, it's terrible.
I
So-
think that Joe Brady did try to purchase that while it was an active
Yeah.
bond, and the owner
Oh, it was
asked,
a nightmare.
he asked.
I just wasn't sure if it was something that.
The federal government gave him an
we
insane
didn't
amount
have
of
the
money.
Money to maintain it, and we let it
No,
go. Okay.
yeah, unfortunately, yeah, so the town wasn't willing to pay what he was asking, and then he went to the federal government and they gave him crazy money to let it go. And then when the town was able to purchase that, it was at a very reduced cost.
Because we couldn't do anything with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was
It
gorgeous.
was stunning, I know.
Yeah.
That does.
Will it eventually become forested?
Yeah, I
Anything
mean,
we
it
throw
is a
in
lot
there?
different than it was 20 years ago now.
It's pretty wet,
Yeah,
yeah.
so it's.
It's wet,
just
but it's kind of
Oh.
marshy,
Yeah.
marshy.
And I think they leave it wet on purpose,
Yeah,
so that
Yeah.
it won't get forested.
Yeah.
What is there any talk about, spending a little money, hate to say it, but, and turning it back into more nature? Like, I think they're doing some in Plymouth, aren't they? Where they
Oh, yeah.
take the bog and,
Well, that particular one we can't touch because of the federal government. Yeah, we
Okay.
can't touch that one.
Just a general comment on the budget,
Yes.
excellent job.
Oh, thank you.
The percent increase
Thank you.
is less than the rate of inflation.
Oh, thank you. Yeah,
That's pretty
we
impressive.
really try. Really tried to be thoughtful and,
And I think that shows.
oh, good. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Just a
that.
quick question. When does the algorithm flip to maybe it makes sense to get another vehicle for the department? Versus taking your car and getting banged up in the woods?
I don't know. So the truck that we have right now, Joe Brady purchased it. He purchased it used. It was a great deal.
Oh,
We
so
just-
it's-
but Joe used it, not, and I'm not trying to take your truck, Mike, don't get nervous. But Joe used it, not anybody else.
I know, and that's the other
So
difference.
did you change that when Joe left, you decided?
It wasn't my choice.
Mhm.
No, like when I was hired, I was under
Should I not
the
ask?
assumption that I would do like Joe did, which he
To have a
used.
truck?
Yeah, and then I learned after I was hired, a couple months later, that that's not.
Is that just one of those mysteries of life? Okey dokey, pokey.
Yeah.
Good question. We find an answer, we'll pass it on.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
And no, don't get nervous. Like,
That's all I got.
that's odd. Okay.
I'm good. You guys.
Are we good, I said?
Yeah.
Okay,
I'm
any
fine.
questions out there in Ted land?
Teddy,
I'm good.
This is more.
Rainey, you got
Dad
anything? You
question.
all
I have
set?
a question here.
This is more of a dad question.
Oh.
Is there any land available to camp on in town? Like, I love taking my kids camping. Like, we recently started going out to Parks Island. I know that's different,
Yeah.
but like, I'd love to be able to, backpack in the woods with them and camp next to the North Hill Pond or something.
We do have a site off of Mayflower.
Yeah.
And it's open to anybody. Usually the only request we get for it is the scouts.
Right.
And they're, because there's a lock gate, so they come to us and they get the keys to be able to, drive in with their equipment and. So yes, we do have one that we do allow camping. Yeah.
Interesting.
We just want to know, who's out there when,
Of course.
just for safety. Yeah.
Before we send the dog out to find them. Yeah. Okay, good call.
Go off-roading in the truck with other people.
Yeah. All right. All set?
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Matt, next. Do you know everybody? Do you know anybody? I'm Betsy Sullivan, nice to meet you.
I was figuring you probably were.
Yeah.
You were the chair.
No one else is gonna take credit for that one.
Chuck will run.
they are, Ken.
Friend,
Matt and I met, because I had this budget, we've already met.
Hi, Acting Monarch.
Mark Wilkinson.
All right, pleased to meet you all. Since I'm not good at, I'm horrible at remembering faces and I'm slightly better at names, so. Please forgive me if, you know, like a month from now, I might not recognize you, other than Brendan Betsy. It's just my weakness, but I'm happy to meet you all. As you probably know, I'm new here. I started in early July. So this is my first sort of round of going through the budget and town meeting and so forth. So I've been here about 3 months, so far it's been a great experience. I don't know if you want me to, so I'm the new planning director here. Previously, I worked for the town of Pembroke for about 7 years as planning board assistant, but my role was kind of, by the end of my time there, I was kind of involved in virtually everything related to planning and zoning, so I was assisting the ZBA as well and involved in kind of everything related to the zoning bylaws and so forth. And then I was the town planner in Hanover for about 8 months, and then they had a budget crisis, and so unfortunately I got let off there. But those were both great experiences. And so I do sort of bring some experience. I also have a sort of educational background in both urban planning and architecture as well. Do you want me to, I didn't prepare a PowerPoint,
Oh, it's okay, it's
but
okay.
I did have sort of a handout, which I think some of you have, or if anybody else has.
We'd rather get to know you than read.
That's fair enough. And so I don't know if you want me to spend a minute or two kind of discussing what the planning department does, or maybe that's kind of self-explanatory, but so basically everything related to, or virtually everything related to development and zoning, anything larger than a single family house or a duplex house goes through the planning office or sometimes the ZBA. You know, so for example, obviously subdivision applications always go through the planning department and through the planning board, whether it's just for like a sort of what we call an A&R, but basically a subdivision without any road, where they're just subdividing their property, or whether it's first kind of a full subdivision where they're actually building a new cul-de-sac road, and it's kind of the full deal. Also, what we call site plan applications go through the planning board, so through the planning department office, where that's basically generally anything larger than, typically sort of any project bigger than a house, bigger than a 2-family house. So, you know, multifamily housing, commercial projects, offices, light industry, whatever, retail, restaurants, those are those kind of just site plan applications. So they go through planning as well. Zoning bylaw changes, or just kind of being cognizant of sort of all the details of the zoning bylaws and handling zoning bylaw changes. We call them amendments at which of course go to town meeting, as you know, and so on. So at the moment, we're dealing with a few of those, we're trying to kind of get them prepared for spring town meeting. There are sort of quite a few kind of grants and other programs that go through the planning department. Right now, I'm kind of the project manager for this grant, which is called Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness 2.0. So I'm sort of spending a fair amount of time dealing with that one. That actually involves some outreach, so you may hear about it sort of later this year or next year as well. There are also some grants that the planning department applies for that then wind up kind of being really handled by other departments, the actual sort of implementation of them. So for example, for the Washington Street sidewalk project, which you guys probably know about to some degree, I believe it's under construction at the moment. That was a complete streets grant. So it was actually one of my predecessors who actually applied for that grant and got it. And then obviously it made a lot more sense for the DPW, of course, to actually kind of handle the construction and the contracting and so forth, since that's their wheelhouse. But it was planning that kind of got the grant and is still dealing to some extent with the invoices and that sort of thing. So a lot of what planning does is obviously it almost always relates to kind of the physical world of the town and kind of how the town develops, how land is used, land use and zoning and development. And a lot of it, I would say, involves a lot of sort of collaboration with other departments and offices in town hall. I'm constantly sort of walking around town hall to talk to different people, or sometimes obviously often by email and phone as well. But there's a lot of kind of back and forth and collaboration, because it overlaps so much with what the building department does, with what Concom does. I share an office with Concom, as you probably know, with DPW and so forth. I think that's probably kind of a good short, I'm probably leaving a few things out, but hopefully that's a good kind of brief introduction.
Some of the bigger projects that the town is now involved with, well, obviously one was the seawall. We plan to get involved with something like that in the new Water Point Bridge.
The seawall was before my time. I believe planning was involved in that to some degree. I'm not quite sure to what extent or what details. But yeah, actually, so planning, we are connected to some extent with the Coastal Resiliency Task Force, which of course does a lot of those things on the coast. And we're more sort of heavily involved as well with the this is different from your question, but it just reminded me, the Hall's Corner Working Group, and also the zoning bylaw recodification working group. So for those ones, we're kind of helping set up their meetings, and we're actually attending those meetings of those groups as well as the planning board. And I should clarify, when I say we, I mean me, and also the administrative assistant in the office, who, as you probably know, is Emily Hadley Hagan, who does a fantastic job. And I guess I would just say, kind of broadly speaking, what Nancy said about sort of Allison Shane, and kind of the need to sort of, have the official, the official kind of job description and so forth be more aligned with what they do. I think the same thing is true for Emily. She does a great job, and I think there's a lot of things she does that are not in the job description. And so maybe in the future, it's not something I'm raising right now, but maybe in the future, as we look at future budgets, there may be an opportunity to kind of better align the responsibilities she has and things she does with the actual the steps, sort of the actual position she's in and how it's described and so forth. Any other questions there? Oh, so I'm sorry, for Powder Point Bridge, I'm just kind of following that one. I'm not involved much in it yet. As it goes, I may possibly get involved with it. I think that's also part of my job, is as things kind of come to prominence, I get involved to help sometimes deal with them or communicate with them. At the moment, obviously, that the battery energy storage proposal is a big deal in town, so I'm kind of learning a little bit about what the new state rules are for that and so forth. Depending on what's necessary, I may want to be heavily involved in that, or maybe not so much. That kind of to be determined. But that's actually a pretty good example of how my job sort of fluctuates over time.
Thank you.
Are you pretty well versed in writing your own grants? I know the previous planning director was very good at finding money. Like the streetscapes, or the Hall's Corner, there was a number of different studies that were done, throughout the time. And she was particularly good at it, I thought. And do you write your own grants, or do you have someone that can do that for you?
I've only done a few of them so far in my experience in Pembroke and Hanover, and obviously I haven't done any here yet. So I guess I'd say and the ones I think I got in Pembroke were fairly easy to get. So at this point, I'm still, you can say I'm a beginner intermediate. I mean, certainly my intention is to apply for grants and to write my own. But I may, within the town hall, I may kind of reach out to other people who have more experience at it than I do. I think that's a valuable skill to know, and obviously how you describe your projects and how you fill out those applications kind of a big impact on it's not just about kind of the merit of your proposal, but how you actually describe it and fill out the application.
So kind of a segue on that, I noticed that your training and educational N is 0.
Yeah, I don't know why you moved
Why
that.
would that be 0? I mean, your journey as a planner is ongoing. And I would think that there would be some additional training, and that would be very helpful to you at this juncture.
Yeah, so that one, I was a little cautious just because for the FY26, it was down to 0. And sort of with the current, I guess, sort of budget climate, I was cautious about asking for more than what was, in the previous year. I did put actually down, I put down 800 under the 5B, the 5B figure there, kind of in the last column.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see that, yep, sorry.
Because actually I did, well, that was probably the advice of my predecessor too, but I did feel as though, there's a real value there. I guess just sort of totally agreeing with what you said. There's definitely value to that. And maybe I should even move it, I don't know, maybe I should move to 5A. I think there's definitely value to that, and it would be a great.
That was removed last year, Betsy, so there was no money in that account last year.
Right, right.
But still,
But we also didn't have a
We
plan
didn't have a
for
plan
2
last
years,
year.
so
Right.
why,
Agreed.
why would we pay to train someone that was a temp?
Well, it would have been budgeted, didn't necessarily.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jer,
but if you look at his 26 budget, his 27 budget went down. We know training is essential.
yeah,
Let's get it off the wish list and let's get it into the A.
absolutely.
And I would say, I'm not saying go to the $2,000, but when you look at the budget difference, there's $1,100 roughly speaking. Maybe not quite, but at least $1,000 in the budget just to match his 26, let alone.
Well, I'd want to know what the 2000 budget was for, because they didn't spend it in 25 or 24. But, Joe had been here forever. So, and, conservation, but he was, helping out and then, it was transitional for an extended period of time. And if we're going to invest in you being successful, what the heck, I mean,
So where would you
train up,
spend it?
right?
Yeah.
Where would you spend it? Like what's available?
That was my next question, yeah.
Yeah, so there's, to some extent, I think it overlaps with meetings and travel expenses as well. Which I think was used a tiny bit in the past 2 years. But for, training education, there's SNEPA, which I think stands for Southern New England American Planning Association, which I think has a 2-day conference, and I think the figure for previous years, it's probably gone up through inflation, but in previous years, the cost of that was $315. There's this thing called CPTC, which I think is both actually for planning board members and for planners. They have some webinars and some training. There's also Plan Edison, which is an organization that offers training. I have a figure of 429 for them. Again, it's probably gone up. I mean, for some of these things, I would need to kind of do a little more research to learn which
So
one
if
is the
we
best to
recommend
do.
moving 1,000 into this
Well,
year's budget, would that
no.
make sense?
What I would say is we'd recommend that he would look at that and come up with a figure.
Yeah. I mean, talk to your brothers and sisters in arms there that are planners in other towns and,
You've got support at this end for adding something into that line.
yeah.
And getting it out of B, getting the 800.
Because quite honestly, and I'm speaking for myself, getting an assistant planner is probably, I'm not sure how much juice that's gonna get at this point. I don't know, you haven't spoken to the need for it and what their duties would be, and I could be wrong, but I wanna
Well,
make,
wasn't that assistant supposed to be the one that had more skill sets for the coastal management issues?
maybe, I
And
don't
the
know.
idea was to bring somebody else.
I'm not gonna
Couldn't get
assume.
one person that wore both of those hats, and the goal was to bring in somebody that had some coastal resiliency experience
An
for that
environmental
assistant
plan.
position,
Yeah,
so they can look at
environmental
the-
plan.
all that kind of stuff.
And-
Right.
And is that what the 89 is in B?
Yes,
Yeah, that would be an
It's right here.
assistant planner, but
It's under-
But I would want the head of the department to have his best opportunity to be comfortable and successful in this position. And I think that getting some support with education would truly benefit. And I hope you're not taking that as anything other than wishing for the best.
Oh, no, I mean, I think I have plenty to learn, like all of us do.
Sure.
And so I think it'll be a benefit, that's why I put down the $800. I think that would totally be a benefit. I guess the one thing I should mention, as far as kind of the fact that the total for FY 27 is less than FY 26. That's part of the reason for that is because for some of the ones, I tried to more estimated for what I think the amount is likely to be, whereas it seems like for FY 26, maybe. I mean, obviously it was before I was here, but maybe they were trying to put in more a buffer to make sure they had enough. So in practice, I mean, I think in reality, a lot of our expenditures kind of are things we don't have much choice about, but they're just kind of fulfilling the requirements of state law, like notifying abutters, sending out letters and that kind of thing.
But doesn't yeah, I'm sorry, you said her name, was it Hillary?
Emily,
Sorry, Emily do that type of thing, right?
but I mean, it's still part of our budget, like just like the postage. I mean, that's a trivial thing, but just like the postage for everything. And so basically, I guess what I'm getting at is that like the actual amount that we spend in FY 27 versus FY 26, it's kind of very hard to predict. Like it could wind up being less or more because a lot of these things, they just kind of fluctuate depending on sort of how many applications we get, for example, and that's something we can't predict, or how often we need to consult with.
But if you're budgeting 0 for training and education, you doesn't really have too far to go on the
I
end.
agree, yeah, sure.
It doesn't, there's not a lot of opportunity.
Yeah.
What about these big swings that are in this professional and technical services?
Yeah.
That's, it was up as high as 160,000 at one point. Now you're at 6,000. Was that?
Yeah, that was wild, huh?
Did we have to bring somebody in to do something?
Sounds like a seawall, I'm guessing, but.
Yeah, so I had to do some research about that. So basically, that was obviously the big figure was FY 25, but to a lesser extent in FY 24. And that was kind of an anomaly. The main purpose of that account is for consulting with our town council at KP Law. And also now we're putting in a tiny bit for them to put the zoning bylaws online, what they call E-code. But yeah, so what came up,
That wasn't under legal, that was under your,
sorry, say that again.
so the
Talking about the
160,
line
if
of
they, if you were
professional
working
and
with our
technical
attorney, it was
Yeah,
under
professional,
legal,
yeah,
it wasn't
right.
under legal fees.
We talked about that when we met, and part of that was that the writing of the hazardous mitigation plan, which took a lot of research apparently, and the work with the state on exit 20. That's what Matt mentioned to me at the meeting.
The design.
It was, there were 2 big projects, the design work was all bumped into that year, so that's why the anomaly is there, such a large number. It was for 2 very specific things. I don't know the exact amount of each got, but
Right.
that was the chunk of it.
And my sense is that, and obviously it was before my time, but my sense is that they were sort of I mean, I guess I shouldn't speak for what decisions were made in the past, but perhaps they were kind of unanticipated expenses, and maybe they weren't sure what other account to put them in. And so they kind of just got put in there sort of as a convenience. Maybe it was kind of.
And I'm also thinking there may have been a gap where we didn't have a planner. We had to pay professional services, but there was no planner around,
Exactly,
and that
right,
was
yeah.
put in there too.
That would make.
You had to go, you had to.
Right, but it
outsource
was budgeted for 160, but the actual was 24,000.
So
Well,
I
they didn't spend
believe,
anything close to 160.
so I believe, yeah, that's a good point. I believe, I'm still kind of learning a lot of the accounting systems here, but I believe.
Let us know when you figure it out.
Yeah. But I believe actually. Most of the 160 either was spent or is being spent, like I think a lot of that money was encumbered. And so even though it says 24,000, I believe actually most of that 160
Was encumbered.
either has been spent or is encumbered, and so it's kind of committed. And so it's
So exit 20.
so that's the reason why, that's the reason why so much a large amount was was not originally appropriate, but such a large amount was kind of added to it over time to cover all this. But yeah, so it was largely for the exit 20 work, kind of the design and engineering, I believe.
Mhm.
And then also, as friend mentioned, for the hazard mitigation plan, for the consultant WPC to work on that. And also, I think a little bit for this company, General Code, which is helping with kind of putting the zoning bylaws online and the recodification, what they call it. I think those are pretty much the main things that went into that.
Just to beat up on this whole, we went from dues and membership down to a 0 too. Are you not gonna be a member of any of these places that offer the classes now?
I might become a member of those, but again, it seems like for the last 2 years, nothing was spent on those.
500 was approved last year though.
Was approved, so I think,
Not spent.
it's certainly a possibility. I mean, I don't have any. that, you know, using memberships that are in right now. But I think it's gonna be quite a possibility for the future, yeah.
Okay.
And I think for.
Hey, Betsy.
Yes,
It's raining. How are you?
I'm fine, hon. How are you? Hope you're
Good.
dry.
Just to help you guys out a little bit, Matt is exactly right. With respect to exit 20 and the hazard mitigation plan, that's where the big chunk of that 160 came from.
Yeah.
Is that actually spent, or as he says, it's still
Is it
bills
just,
pending?
It was largely spent. The exit 20 came to a total of, we had two influxes of funding. One on the amount of 85,000, the other was 48,700, giving you a total of $133,700. And then the hazard mitigation plan was 24,000. So that brings it up to 157,700.
so the hazard mitigation is the only thing that's reported on this spreadsheet that we're looking at?
Correct. It might not have been updated yet, but that's what the sources of funding were that we discussed, that Mary and I chatted about with Matt.
I think the thing that we're kind of keying in on, or at least I am, won't be a shock to you, is that dues and membership is down to zero, so he can't be a member of any of the organizations that provide, you know, support and or free training. And there's no training or education budget for him to take any classes to help further his you know, journey as a planner.
Right, that may be amended. We can talk about that, but that was his initial flush, but
Yep.
he and I and Mary can discuss that because it wouldn't cost a heck of a lot of money, that's for sure.
Yep. Good, thanks.
You bet.
Anything else that you see on this that all set?
Yeah, we're good from my end. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Frank. There you go. Anything else? Why don't we do this? Why don't we, obviously, we're not voting on anything like this tonight, but if you want to look into what you could, perhaps explore for training or education and get some numbers on it and what that might entail, then
Yeah.
that'd be great. We'd love to, you don't have to come back, or you can just send the information to Mary, or you can come back. We're always happy to see you.
Okay, yeah, I'll take a look.
Yeah.
And
Anything else? Anybody else have any questions?
I think Mike wanted to jump in.
I'm sorry, what Ash?
Mike.
Oh, hi, Mike.
Hi there. I don't know if we're going to get into it tonight, but about that assistant planner and the justification for it.
That was our next stop on the parade.
Okay, I will be quiet then.
No,
Sorry, Madam Chair.
Well, we're assuming, Mike, that the request for that is coming out of the select board. In terms of their frustration with trying to deal with regular planning plus the coastal resiliency issues. And I thought that was put in there as a placeholder to attract another person with those qualifications specifically. Am I right or wrong in that?
I speak for myself, and I don't know if you all recall my pushback at last spring's meeting. I think I was the only one that had this pushback, so I want to be clear on that. I was very concerned about this line item, particularly where we didn't have a planner at the time. So I was interested in some justification for it. I have some concern about it, particularly where we don't have an assistant town manager. Why, you know, when we're talking about priorities here, and a responsible and 5B budget, I haven't heard an absolute need for this position. I may be wrong, and there are others on my board that heard that, but I think I was, like I said, I was the one of the five last year that had some pushback with this. So Matt, it has nothing to do with you. Maybe I'll, you know, hear more of a articulation of why we need this position. But I think we, you know, I'll just leave it at that. I could go on and on, but.
Teddy?
Yeah, I just, as an overview, I'd like to back up what Mike has said. I after we got our doors beat in at the special town meeting, I think anything we bring up about new bodies is a mistake that's going to come back and bite us. I think that's what hurt us, what killed us last year. And I don't think we should be promoting new staff. We need to try to get what we need done or what we need to pay for on, because I think we're going to have to go for an override. But I think we will be hurting if anything in that override includes brand new staff.
I'm assuming, Ted, you're not meaning the people that had been riffed and reinstating some of these positions.
No, not at all. I'm talking about new bodies. New positions.
Positions. Right,
So,
well, Matt hasn't really spoken to the position, so, you're welcome to, if you, yeah,
Yeah, so I do,
we now that we've really bummed you out, go ahead.
oh, no, that's okay. It's better to sort of to hear it up front, it's sort of in a frank manner. So I do believe it's, you know, I mean, I've only been here 3 months, but I do believe it would be a valuable, you know, addition to the planning department, especially given, you know, that it's kind of just the coastal needs of Duxbury with you know, sea level rise and all kind of the coastal problems that exist, the challenges and stuff. You know, personally, I'm not an environmental planner, so, you know, and besides my kind of plate is pretty full. So I really do think that it's something that would be valuable. At the same time, I am putting it under 5B instead of 5A because, you know, I understand all those kind of concerns as well as the other concerns. I've heard of that and just kind of the reality of where the town is right now from a budget point of view. It seemed like it would have been kind of presumptuous or just unrealistic to try to put it into the 5A. I totally understand kind of the hesitations that a lot of people feel and just kind of the cold hard fiscal realities. So, but at the same time, I think it's important to kind of keep it on people's radar screen. I do think it would be a valuable thing. So that's kind of basically the situation there, I guess.
I think that one of the things that, and, you know, Mike, I am, you know, giving you the eyeball here, but I think that the select board has got to work with the county because the water and this coastal problems do not begin and end at Duxbury's borders. And if we could work with the county to get someone that could fulfill some of these needs that would handle Marshfield, Duxbury, Kingston, I mean, and so on, that is going to benefit. It's going to be a much bigger bang for the buck, and the county does have the resources to do that type of thing, but to the best of my knowledge, we really haven't reached out to try to work with them. So I'd rather have the county pay for it than have us get somebody that is just responsible for Duxbury. Because we're not an island on this thing, we can't manage it alone.
Yeah, I mean, that makes a lot of sense. If you got somebody with the expertise, why not have them work for multiple towns? I mean, even with this, even as I understand it, with this beach nourishment project, as I understand it, you know, that was a thing jointly done between both Marshfield and Duxbury. So I think that kind of strategy makes a lot of sense.
JR?
yeah, I, when they first came up with this assistant planner or environmental planner, I was very much in favor of it.
Sure.
But as I look at it now, anything that poor person comes up with, we don't have the resources to do anything about it anyway.
Right.
And so I think I think we're gonna need one eventually. But I think we gotta know where the funding, where's the money, where's it gonna come from? And I think eventually that somebody's gonna have to make the decision whether what we save and what we run from. And I don't think it's gonna be us that does it, because we don't have the money to do it anyway. So when our water supplies start to get affected and stuff like that, then the feds are gonna have somebody's gonna, even the state level, to Betsy's point, can't stop at Rhode Island and, you know, and whatever the abutting town is down there. This is a coastal problem.
Sorry, and
Not a
starting with the county, At least
And I
then the
think
county
that's-
resources would be available for the
So-
county
so-
employee, but
So
we
I
have
would-
not reached out and made that initiative.
At,
to
at
the
this
best of
point,
my
I would
knowledge.
not support an additional plan.
No. Anybody else? No?
I'll save my opinions about whether or not we need to add a body or two to later when we hear about everyone's
Yeah,
budget.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
what the total picture looks like. To me, it's just a little premature, but
All right,
I do remember those meetings well.
Yeah, right.
okay. Mike, okay?
I am, thank you very much.
Yeah,
Okay,
he looks happy.
he's delighted,
It's
doesn't
been
he?
a,
Yeah,
it's been a long day.
been a day, huh? All right. Rainey, anything else you want to add to this party?
Nope.
Nope.
Sorry, yes. Just so you folks know, we're scheduling a meeting of the board to discuss one thing and one thing only, and that is what will be the proposed FY27 budget. It's going to be in the mural room. It's not a joint meeting, but it's going to be a meeting for the board to have, they had wanted an opportunity to weigh in on the budget. I'll be letting them know that this is the date we're scheduling on Monday, the 20th, but it's actually going to be the 27th downstairs where you are now. So we're going to invite all the department heads to come in.
27th October,
I'm sorry?
October?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll have all the department heads come in so that if the board has any questions about specific items in either the 5A or the 5B budget, that'll be their opportunity to ask them. We're going to invite the finance committee and the school committee to join us. Like I said, it won't be a joint meeting, but it's that moment that the board had requested to have to weigh in on what the proposed budget could look like. And so we'll have that discussion and see where it goes from there.
So you'll have a final draft for the entire FY27 budget by then?
We'll have a pretty good look, friend. No, it won't be. I don't think it'll be final by then, but I need to check with Mary. It could be close. It could be close. We'll have something. We're going to have a document ready for the board to react to so that they can decide on things like whether they'd like to move forward with an assistant planner, whether they'd like to move forward with engineer for the DPW, whether they want to move forward with XYZ, you name it. So, and those are things, the two things I just mentioned are both contemplated under the 5B budget. And how far would they like to extend the restorations that could be contemplated in the 5A budget as well?
And you said that's October 27th?
That's correct.
Okay.
Guess I'm not doing anything else that night.
Okay.
So I was just gonna mention, two more things here, just briefly. You
You
can,
hijacked your meeting, yeah.
oh, no, that's fine, that's important. At the bottom of the, of my sheet there, the two requests under capital budgeting, one's for the Snug Harbor project, which is, kind of, you may know, that's a place that gets a lot of flooding. And so there's, kind of a project that's underway, which would improve it and reduce the impact of some of the flooding. It's kind of a proposed project that some design engineering work has been done. And then, and that's just kind of for the 20%, the 20,000 is just for a 20% match of a grant opportunity that we have from, I believe it's from the state, from the Seacoast Economic something or other commission, maybe, or some, the SCC they call it. And then $20,000 for a consultant to assist with revising and updating the zoning bylaws. So for both of those, again, I understand, I think the planning board also understands that the fiscal realities are what they are. So, to some extent, this is, I think these are both completely worthy objectives and they deserve the funding. But at the same time, we understand that the reality being what it is, that may be a stretch, but I think we feel it's important to kind of keep it on the radar and put it down there because I think they are merited. And so, that's kind of why they're there. That's sort of the thinking.
Do we all weigh in on those? Yeah, do we?
We do eventually, but not
After fiscal advisory.
after fiscal advisor, yeah. Dumb as I am, I kind of thought we had put some money aside for the rewriting the zoning bylaw, didn't we?
So yeah, in 2017, this is kind of, I just learned about this recently, actually. So in 2017, I think at town meeting, there was some money put aside, and it's pretty much all either been used or been encumbered, my understanding is. But it's, I mean, probably largely it's going towards the recodification work and some of the other proposed revisions as well, which you may be seeing at the Springtown meeting. So I think that's pretty much, my sense is that's pretty much either spent or sort of obligated, encumbered to be spent.
So you're saying that the money we did was to get the plate of spaghetti in order, and what you're looking for is 20,000 to look at the actual content.
Well, I think that's kind of sort of both, I guess. I mean, I think the money that was previously committed or that was previously appropriated at 2017 town meeting, and obviously, again, I wasn't there, obviously, was you know, for the whole process, kind of from start to finish, like to look at the zoning bylaws, to propose revisions, and then to really kind of create the actual new verbiage that you're hopefully going to see at town meeting soon of what the new verbiage is going to be. My guess is that probably it took longer than they expected it would, because things always do, but also because of COVID and because of MBTA communities, those things kind of, obviously MBTA probably kind of jumped to the forefront, and that became sort of the emergency. But I think the long-term process, you know, was a good one. You know, I think this kind of recodification is one part of that. But to the best of my knowledge, that's the only, I mean, there might be something else I'm not aware of, but to the best of my knowledge, that's kind of the only chunk of money that's been set aside recently for. But again, it's possible there could be something I'm not aware of.
No, I could just be pretending, I don't know, it's something. 17 might have seemed like yesterday, you know, so.
It sort of does sometimes.
In the planning world anyway.
Right. Any other questions?
No.
Thank you so much. I hope this wasn't painful for you.
Out of this is good.
That's the first go around, you did a fine job.
Yeah, you did a great job. Just I'll get some, you know, some of the training programs that seemed like they would be of a, you know, real, something that would be of benefit, and, you know, let us know.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that and try to add it into make a revision and add it from there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if we're predisposed to think it's a good idea, why?
Exactly, yeah, that's nice it's nice to get that reassurance, and I think it does merit, put it back in.
Cool. All right, kids. Anything else? We're here
Minutes.
Thursday, whatever Thursday is.
Oh, Matt, you may not want to stand around for this.
We're gonna do our minutes. You don't have to listen. Let's see, before we do that, Thursday, we have Jeannie, Jake, and Joe Green from Regional. And so those are 3 more budgets that we will get through then. All right, why don't we do the minutes? You know, and you truly don't have to listen to this.
Oh, I'm sure it's interesting, but I.
No, it's really, no. All right.
Minutes of September 6th, I'm sorry, did you want to say something?
No. No.
The minutes of September 16. September 16.
Yeah.
Just the second page, some typos and some corrections for grammar, so they just makes a little more sense. I can read them out loud, or I can just give them to Linda, but why don't I read them, so it's part of the minutes, I suppose, do the right thing. On the second page, under the paragraph starting with Mr. Weiler shared for new members of the Mass Municipal Association has a finance committee manual, which a guide that might be helpful. It should say, which is a guide that might be helpful. Simple enough. The next paragraph, tonight, liaisons were assigned who will meet with specific, just to clean that up a little tonight, department liaisons were assigned who in turn will meet with specific departments. I think that reads a little better. The paragraph later, Mrs. Sullivan explained that we won't be getting numbers from Mrs. McKinnon and Mr. Reed for a while. I think I wanted to add to that, if you would agree with this, Mrs. Sullivan, all department expenses, because we are getting numbers, but it's all of the expense side we weren't getting. Just so I think that clarifies the comment better.
Sure.
And then, Mark, that's.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Night, night.
Good night, Matt. Mrs. McKinnon said the deadline has passed for departments to enter their information, but we will still wait for them to finish before invites out. Two out should be invites go out, not two out. And then skip a paragraph, Mr. Flynn asked if the big picture has changed since last year. Mrs. McKinnon stated that there were recently updated revised revenue projections. They would just drop the updated, just say revised revenue projections. And that's it for the minutes of September 16. And I
Okay,
would, unless somebody else has any other comments, I'd move them to be approved as amended.
Second,
all right, let's, all those in favor, Teddy?
aye.
Okay,
Abstain.
abstain from Sean?
JRI.
JRI?
Friend, I.
Yeah, right.
Ashley, I.
Aye.
Betsy, I.
Okay, that's 8-1, 801. 801, that's it.
No, because
One
none of us
abstain.
aren't here, Kathleen's not here.
So that would be 7.
Yep, 7-1.
I don't know how I got to set 8, but that's okay. Anyways, moving along to the October 2nd. Okay, overall question. We seem to be inconsistent when we talk about our individual budget discussions with whether we're going to put down the total amount of the budget requested for FY27 or not. Now, I know we're not voting them. So from my perspective, I don't think it was really important. But if you're gonna put them in some budgets, we should put them in all the budgets. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we just talk about the change. Sometimes we just say it's the same, and sometimes we say what the number is. I just think we have to be consistent for reporting purposes that when we talk about a budget increase of $2,370 for a total budget of $2,302,000. That is, I think, would be the proper way to do each one. Unless people take exception to that. But we've discussed it, we talk about the increase, we talk about the final amount, but sometimes we talk about pieces of all that, never consistently with each one. I just think we need to be consistent. So that when somebody comes in and reads it, they know they're gonna get the same response from each budget each time. Does everyone follow that?
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's fine.
All right, on the first page, fourth paragraph.
Do you want to give Linda a chance to amend it as opposed to?
Well, I can give her my notes.
Yep, you can give her notes and let her do that, and then we, as opposed to, how many of them are on this?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 of them.
In lieu of creating a ton of work for Linda or whoever writes these, can you just attach an exhibit from ClearGov? So you can reference both the historical number, the change, and then the new request number?
That might be more complicated, but I know it would be for me. I'm not sure how it would be for Linda.
Well, I think Mary's been attaching the attachments when the meetings actually get posted. But I mean, I agree with Fran, I'd like to keep it consistent. I'd like to have the whole piece together if we could, in case, Mary had said in the past when she came on board, it was really beneficial for her just to pull the minutes and get an idea of the full picture.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't I give her the corrections and we just vote these to the next meeting? That way we don't have to go through them. How's that?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, do that.
That makes sense. I'll sit with Linda for a few minutes and just quickly,
And if there's a better mousetrap, we can
right.
discuss it.
All right, so then we'll vote these at the next meeting.
Great.
And then October 2nd, same?
Yes,
Okay, great. All right, perfect.
I'm just trying to look for consistency in how.
No, I think that's
Talk to each.
absolutely
each way.
appropriate. Yep,
That's all I had.
okay. Good.
We are meeting Thursday.
Everybody
as you
got
said.
the updated contact list?
Yes.
Any changes, just, submit them back to Linda and we'll have that. And, so there's that. There is an email for finance committee, and if they get something, then they forward it to me, which is very rare. that I would forward it to the crowd, or if something comes individually, it would get forwarded to you, but there's absolutely no reason to give the public your personal cell phone and or email addresses when we have that ability to go in a more professional way. Okay, so there's that.
And what is that email address?
Oh, why did you ask?
Well, send it out.
Yeah, I'll send it out.
Yeah.
It's on the website, so.
Okay, I'll get it there.
Yeah.
It's FinCom@duxbury-ma.gov.
FinCom,
FinCom,
one word, no dot.
correct.
Okay, FinCom.
At,
Duxbury-ma.gov.
Which is the,
Same
which
with
is
the
the,
town hall.
the end of it for everybody now, because we've changed everybody's email address.
okay. I'm good.
US.
All right, cool. All right, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second.
Teddy?
Yay.
John?
Aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Brenda,
Alan,
Actually, I.
Aye.
Nobody wants to
I'll
leave
figure
that way.
I'll figure out the order.
Aye. All right, thank you. Good night, all.